Thank you very much. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for inviting me here and allowing me to speak to this audience. But before I start, may I just ask, are there any farmers in the audience? One farmer, 2, 3, 4, yes? Okay, that's good. Okay, thank you. But most of you aren't. I have some slides explaining a little bit what farmers can do with satellite navigation. And also go into the farming aspects. But for the rest of the audience, how many of you have been on the farm this last week? A little bit more. Last year? Has anybody never been on the farm here? Okay, that's good. Fortunately. I'm going to talk about satellite navigation. So not about Copernicus or remote sensing, but on navigation. I think the space asset for farming that has been available already for many years, but still has not been used everywhere in the widest extension. And I've been running a project which has been called Unifarm, which is a user forum for farmers and farmer-associated organizations to defend and present their needs towards the space community. So I come from the other side. I come from the farming, look towards the space, not from the space. So I'm also connecting users with space, but then from the other side. My name is Tamme and these are the partners who were involved in this project. I assume that the slides will be spread around? Okay, so this is about my company. I will just quit that, you can read it afterwards. When we talk about satellite navigation, we talk about autonomous driving. Yeah? Machines that can drive autonomously with GPS, GNSS. Are you familiar with the term GNSS? Global Navigation Satellite Systems, which is the family name of GPS, Galileo, GLONASS, Compass, all these things, EGNOS. So this is one of the ideals that farmers often see. Yeah, you can pay attention to what the machine is doing. Stepping off the tractor is not the most sensible thing to do. But even if you're in the tractor cabin, you can look backwards, you can see what the machine does rather than steering it. And here's another photo from one of the exercises that we did to see if different companies, different brands, with different ways of applying GNSS actually drive on the same route. In the Netherlands, we work a lot with contractors, and contractors have their own equipment. So if a farmer lays down his field with his equipment, and a contractor comes later on to fertilize or weed or whatever with his own equipment, and he doesn't apply the same standard, then he's weeding the plants rather than the weeds. So we did some tests, and it was remarkably bad. GNSS is mostly used for guidance, and we have two types of guidance. This is driver guidance. So the driver still drives himself, but the GNSS and this easy guide from Trimble helps him steering on the right path. The other alternative is what we call hands-free driving or machine guidance. Then the GNSS guides the machine rather than the driver. And in this way, the farmer can, he can read the newspaper, make a telephone call, but he can also look backwards to see what his machine is doing and if it's doing what it should be doing. Doesn't go always right. Unfortunately. And this is another example where it doesn't go right. I mean, you can have GNSS, but if you don't have the boundaries, the borders of your field accurately inside the system, then it still goes wrong. So that's one thing that we've been doing in the Netherlands these past years, is we've been measuring fields with very high accuracy, and we've been laying down the tracks for the tractor in an optimized way, and these lines can be fed into the machine for autonomous steering. And you can see here also the yellow lines. These are the path for spraying. So not only for plowing and seeding, but also for spraying. We make this in an optimal way. And you can see here, the farmer has chosen to leave out these blocks. Normally this cost him a lot of time to put his potatoes in here as well. But now he just saves time, can work on another field, and he puts some flowers on there just around the house, which is also nice. But there's an economical benefit in that as well. The rest of the field becomes more beneficiary. And the ultimate goal, what we often talk about with GNSS and guidance, is what we call the variable rate application. Doing the right thing at the right place, and the right dose, And here you can see a board computer screen, and you see the different colors indicate different intensities for, in this case, spraying. So the machine itself knows that when he goes over one of those yellow blocks, the spraying intensity should be corresponding to the yellow. When it goes to the green, it should be corresponding to the green, etc. And modern machinery nowadays has the section control, and with every 3 meters of the sprayer, he can adjust the rates. So, as an overview, what are we doing with GNSS in agriculture? First of all, mapping of fields, mapping field boundaries. As I shown with the previous slide, that's very necessary. Also, governments are doing this to make control on subsidy claims. So mapping your field, then planning your work is the next stage we can do with GNSS. Doing this in the office, bring it to the tractor and have the machine being guided on the right place. Driving your machine in the right place, what I shown before. Again, a picture where the farmer has more attention for what the machine is doing than just for keeping an eye on the straight line. And of course, the variable rate application, adjusting it to the conditions. Now, each application basically requires a different accuracy. For instance, if you just want to do tracking and tracing, to know afterwards where you have been and what you've been doing, well, the order of magnitude of 10 meters is okay. Yeah? You know the field, you more or less know the area within the field. When you move into more accurate applications like spraying or spreading your fertilizer, these kind of things, harvesting, crop monitoring on the harvesters, you need more accuracy. And in general, users indicate they need about 1 meter accuracy. But for machine guidance, you need to go below that, 10 centimeters or even 2 centimeters. The RTK systems nowadays provide 2 centimeter accuracy. And that's of course very relevant, in particular also for biological farmers who sow and plant their plants on 2 centimeter accuracy, and then they come with the weeders, the mechanical weeders, to get rid of the weed. You can imagine if this is not going right, you weed the wrong thing. And that's what was required with the RTK. So we have different, in principle, systems, but what we see in the Netherlands, as soon as farmers have bought an RTK system, they use it for everything. And this, we will say, accuracy is very addictive. So all the applications are done at this very high accuracy. And why not? I mean, the machine is there, the system is there. We did a survey in the Netherlands. We asked farmers, this was in 2013, so already 2 years ago. And we asked a group of farmers, do you use GNSS? And what you see is that the farmers who are farming over 100 hectares, almost all use GNSS on their machines. And farmers with small farms, only a minority of them. And this is, I think, this is a general picture throughout Europe. Smaller farms have more trouble identifying the business case, and more trouble understanding how the technology will benefit them. And it's 47% of all farmers, if you count them all, and if you only look at arable farming, it's 65%. This was 2 years ago. We know that the GNSS companies have been very, very busy every winter again. So I'm sure this number has been is much higher than now. The other thing we did in this survey was also asking not only do you use it, but do you see benefit of using it? And here you can see the benefits that have been indicated by the farmers. Time savings, reducing gaps and overlaps in fieldwork is one of the biggest one, and the other one here is more attention for the implement of your activity. So this is what farmers see as the main benefit of doing these kind of things. But of course, fuel savings, time savings, etc., are also relevant things that help farmers make the business case. And we looked at other surveys that has been done. I'm sorry, this slide is in Dutch, but for instance, in America, you see also a large portion of farmers are using, but they're using the SBAS system, so the 10-20 centimeter accuracy version, rather than RTK. In the Netherlands, RTK is favored. In Denmark, you also see RTK is very much favored, but also SBAS systems are favored. In Brazil, basically all farmers use an SBAS-based system. So it's 10-20 centimeters, DGPS type of systems, but space-based. So why is it a success? Why is GNSS in agriculture safe? Well, first of all, farmers see it earns them money. The fuel savings go up to 10 to 15%. That's quite a lot with increasing diesel prices. The productivity per farmer, not necessarily per hectare, but per farmer is increasing. Farmer can do more work in a day. And of course, more efficient use of resources, especially in spraying and spreading and sowing and these kind of activities. But it also improves their cultivation measures, practices. You can work day and night in peak times, which is very important for instance, these weeks, yeah, with sowing and planting. It gives the farmer less fatigue. He doesn't have to steer to look very tight to make it to keep the machine online, but that has been done by the technology. And also less driving skills are required. One farmer said once to me, "Now with GPS, even my son can drive straight." Eh? That's how it goes. And of course, it's simple. You just put it on the machine and it works. You just push the button and it works. Eh? And that's of course very important. And these are the kind of things that we try to avoid. You can see clearly here the double sowing here, and here also this on the side, double sowing. And this is of course what we like to see better, a more efficient way of using your planting material. And this is the image I showed you before, the field that we laid out, the field and the tracks in the office, and then put it on the board computer, and farmers have been using. This is the aerial photo of that field, done in the same way as we planned it. And there's also a very nice image where you can see, this is something that farmers hardly dare to do, I'm sure you know, before GPS. Just crossing over one lane and then filling it in later. Yeah, without GPS, this is a very dodgy, risky trick. You prefer to keep the line of your previous work and then next to it. But now with GPS, it's easily done. And here you see two potato seeders working in parallel, one big field. And from the front, you see this has been done already, these two lanes, and then there's the next one and this one. And they operate in parallel. And this is how it looks like when they're finished. So, one thing we did also was, in our project, is to create awareness. Now, creating awareness about these fields is easy. You go to the field and you have straight lines. But creating awareness for variable rate application was a little bit more difficult. And of course you can spray, you can put your sprayer in the field, but most of you know for sure, looking from a distance to the sprayer, seeing if the rates are off and on, is very difficult to see. So what we did was, it's gone already. Back and forward. Back and forward, yeah. So what we did was we had a fair in the Netherlands and we put brides in the field. And of course the board computer was programmed not to spray the brides. But you can understand the excitement with the farmers to see if the computer was wrong. Fortunately, they all stayed dry. But here they were placed in the field, and the spray. You can see again here from a distance. You can hardly see the spraying, but you can definitely notice if the bride was wet or not. Do I still have some time? Yeah. Okay, because I just want to look at one other thing. Nowadays in the Netherlands, well, we still have some legal restrictions, but a lot of farmers are interested in using drones, small aircrafts. And we are actually applying the same technology as with the tractors to the drones. Autopiloting, making them fly in straight lines. Here we like the overlap to make the pictures match afterwards. And this is one of our farmers. He is a potato farmer with 450 hectares of potatoes in the Netherlands. And he's very interested in this kind of technology. And not him alone. Oh, this is not very clear. This is an American study that showed that in particular agricultural applications will boom in the coming 10 years. And I have a small movie, if you allow me, yeah? There is some sound, but I don't think you can hear it. It's just good music. But I'll just explain here. You see, they assemble this display in the field. Nowadays, you buy more sophisticated airplanes that are just ready. You get them out of the car and you just operate them. Fitting the batteries, fitting the camera, multispectral. We fly with multispectral cameras. with a red edge band, so we can identify a chlorophyll content in the field. I'm sure you all remote sensing people understand what I'm talking about. And this, what we did in this experiment also was try to mimic the satellite capabilities. So we fly with similar bands, similar bandwidth as satellites do. Because we think that satellites are still the best opportunity, but in the Netherlands we suffer a lot from cloud cover. So then we fill these gaps in the periods, we fill that in with unmanned aerial vehicles. Or remotely piloted aerospace systems, I don't know what they call them nowadays. Drones, we say. And it's a very great material you get out of it. This is a picture from this field you just saw. This was in a wheat field. And my first thought when I saw this striping was, oh, the engineers did the mosaicing wrong. But then we looked better at it, and mosaicing is actually done quite well. And what you can see here is these stripes, the dark green stripes. They stop in between the spraying lines. So one spray action one way and the other way, give different stripes. And the farmer, we talked to the farmer about this, and he said, well, presumably my soil is a little bit bumpy. And my sprayer, he had a new sprayer, I think 56 meters, was doing like this during the spraying. So his fertilizer was double dosed on some places and half dosed on other places due to the movements of the beams. And we could see, you could not see this with your bare eye. We went to the field, we couldn't see it, but you can see it with satellite imagery. This is a vegetation index based on different reflections. And then my newest project, just to conclude, is we are trying to help French engineers who have designed a way of measuring soil moisture with reflective GNSS. So we used, it's like radar technology, but we use the GNSS from the sky to reflect on the soil and measure this with the plane. And I have no idea if it works. They claim it's excellent technology. We just do the user part of it. Try to see what farmers need, what farmers want, and how this technology can be applied to agriculture. And that is it. Thank you for your attention.
Thanks, Tamme. Thanks for a very interesting and entertaining presentation. Are there any questions from the audience? Yeah.
Frankie from BLG in Austria. Thank you very much for the excellent presentation. What I wonder is the following. You mentioned 10 to 15% in fuel saving, but if you mention accuracy, accuracy always is related to investigation costs, and if you want to have a very high precision by RTK, so you need more than 10,000 euros to be invested in an RTK system. So do you expect that the investigation costs will drop in future by selling more systems in general, or what is your expectation? What is your expectation concerning the investigation costs and the return of investment?
Yes,
thanks.
Thank you very much for your question. Yes, indeed, the investment is, and that is also the reason why the small farmers are not eager to take up the technology. Investment costs are very high. I think 5 to 10 years ago, this was mainly because the machine has to go into a workshop, the hydraulics need to be adjusted, and these kind of things. But nowadays, the new machines, come out of the manufacturer completely prepared for GPS operation. So this has reduced the cost of the investment. What we see in the Netherlands, but I'm sure every country is different, is that farmers, first of all, they're always worried about the money. That's logical. But as soon as they have bought one, other benefits become more relevant. Money is of course still relevant, but ease of use, fatigue, preparing a better field, it looks much better. Yeah, so when you sit on the coffee with the anniversary of your neighbor, his birthday, he will say, "You have nice fields." Yes, I have GPS. Yeah. And that becomes more important than the money after some time. So what we see is many farmers who have bought one, they will buy a second one and a third one with every new machine. Yeah?
Thanks, Tom. Thanks for the question. I would suggest to move to the next presentation, and if there are any other question, we have a roundtable anyway later. So thanks again, and thank you.
Okay.
And we call Professor